Such a fucking loaded show this week. We've barely got time for anything, but we'll squeeze you in, mate. Hey, Jarret.
Hey guys, well, I'm glad you're squeezing me in, but I've done you a massive favor by revealing this week's releases last week. I covered all of the week's releases for I don't know what it was, like the 24th and the 31st last week. So no wonder it was a bumper episode and the longest PE class in history. So this week, I have no releases to tell you about. So I figured I'll give you a bit of news, just a tiny little smidgen of news, and then a little bit of a focus on a release that I picked up in the last week. So the bit of news is that on August the 21st, we're going to see Furiosa, a Mad Max saga hitting 4K Blu-ray and DVD. The date is now out there. So if you haven't seen it in cinemas or you care to watch it again, it'll be on home end. And I will talk about the special features when it gets closer to the release. But needless to say, the 4K is going to have Dolby Atmos. So moving on to some other news. This is pretty exciting. Two titles coming out from the Paramount catalog via all interactive distribution. We've got Roman Polanski's Chinatown, and we've also got Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in the West, and they're both coming out August 21st from Paramount. These are 4K only releases, though. There'll be no Blu-ray components, so I've got my fingers crossed that all the special feature content will be on the 4K discs. So these are considerably cheaper than importing either of these releases. The Paramount releases run pretty high in price in the US and the UK, so it doesn't always pay to import these releases. So fingers crossed, special features on the 4K.
Were the Blu-rays of both these titles, weren't they part of that? Were they Paramount 100 Years or Paramount Selects?
Oh, the Paramount Selects. I don't think they've done it of Chinatown yet.
Once Upon a Time, maybe?
Once Upon a Time, no. But there had already been an amazing edition of that out for years and years and years, a 2-disc special edition. I mean, the fact is, if these things get released on 4K, you could probably still walk into a JB maybe, or at least onto eBay and pick either of these films up on Blu-ray for, probably $10. So you could add them, make your own DIY deluxe edition. So there is that. But I also did hear some news that Paramount are looking at slating the release of Ghost on 4K later this year, which I'm super excited about. I love Ghost. I finally crumbled, though, because the Blu-ray, which is taken from a 4K scan and restoration, was released probably about 3 or more years ago, and I kind of just gave up hope on the 4K coming out, and I bought it probably earlier this year. So don't thank me, folks. I've bought the Blu-rays so the 4K could happen. But I'm excited. Hopefully that one will get a local release as well. But anyway, moving on, since I don't have any...
So then you get to do the marathon of Ghost Story, Ghost World, and Ghost.
Don't forget Ghost Dad.
What about Ghost Dad? Yeah.
Ghost Dad. Oh, I didn't want to cram that one of your favorites.
No, yeah, that's true though. No, you're right. Ghost Story, Ghost. God, that's great. Yeah, what a header that would be.
What a trip!
Maybe that'll be my next marathon of movies with Ghost in the title. I mean, yeah, there's films like Incident in a Ghostland, which are pretty bleak kind of films. So that would work quite well with pretty much anything with Ghost in the title outside of Ghost World. And Ghost Dog, generally a pretty bleak films, something about ghosts. But anyway, moving on to this week's focus release is this box set.
Ooh.
It's After Dark. This is the 3rd volume in Imprint's neo-noir series. And the first was fantastic, the first volume. The second one, bit hit and miss. And this 3rd one is phenomenal. This actually might be my favorite of the box sets yet, because the consistency, 5 of the 6 features are excellent slices of cinema. The other one is Heaven's Prisoners, which is fun Southern, noir, but realistically, it's not a terrible, not a terrible film, but not a terribly great film either. But this set, 6 films. Now we've got David Mamet's Homicide in this. We've also got, what else is in this set from memory?
It's on the side.
Oh, yes, here we go. Oh, yeah, I could just be reading it right here. White Sands, The Crossing Guard, Heaven's Prisoners. Oh, and I might mention Heaven's Prisoners' global Blu-ray debut. Not surprising. I don't think anyone was racing to release that onto Blu-ray. But Homicide, however, it's strange that hasn't been released on Blu-ray. I know why. Someone wanted to see Terry Hatcher.
Well, no, that's why I watched
Laid Bare.
And I was disappointed. But I did want to release it when... as part of it, I wanted to do a whole range of erotic thrillers, and that was at the top of my list. I don't know how erotic it is though, from memory.
Look, yeah, it's comfortably erotic in that it's just awkward. Some of the stuff.
Put that on the poster.
Really
uncomfortably erotic.
Yeah, exactly. Now that would be a box set. Uncomfortably erotic box set.
You include like spanking the monkey and
going all the way. You could have the double header of that director's films. So Homicide's also, and that's a global Blu-ray debut. I want to mention of the David Mamet film. Great film. What else was in here? Under Suspicion, and then the last one, Pretty Pretty Things. Oh, yeah. Bloody title always gets me. I did want to mention, and as always, Imprint individual covers with art for each of the films, all on their own discs. Nice little booklet to accompany that with some essays. Now, I had seen all of these films, bar this one, which is the last entry in the box set because it's 2002, Dirty Pretty Things, which just came under big recommendation from Ben earlier, I think, when this set got announced. And I watched this the day I got the set, and I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I thought it was fantastic. Like, you know, it's this hybrid movie that's got drama, thriller, romance, a little bit of comedy in the mix. And it's a film that focuses on those unseen sort of people in society that, you know, may work illegally, but essentially do the jobs that neither you and I want to do. The only gripe I had with after finishing this excellent film was that I watched the theatrical trailer that was on here. It's more of like a TV spot than a theatrical trailer. Now, it was the Miramax trailer, which basically presented the film as the film was not. It has this tagline. It's even on here. It says, some things are too dangerous to be kept secret, but I think the trailer goes along the lines of, you know, she knew the secret, you know, and it was too dangerous to keep or whatever. I'm like, she doesn't. She's a secondary character.
No, they were talking about Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. She did. She knew the secret. And then the other thing, too, is the way Miramax did the artwork in the States. Very different from our old Buena Vista DVD that came back when the film came out in 2000. It's got her, and the thing is, she's a Muslim Turkish woman, so she shouldn't sort of be bearing all of this skin. She doesn't bear all this skin in the movie. And they've really marketed it off the back of Amelie. Like, this was like, you know, and it makes it her film. I don't even know if you see Chitterwell in the actual teaser from memory at all. Like the trailer. It's on the
I think, and it also, for me, it also continues the fine tradition of great doorman characters in films. Like you always have great kind of, you know, fatherly or kind of, you know, doorman characters, and then there's a couple like this where the doorman is just so outrageous and awesome to watch.
He's fantastic. He is fantastic. Oh God, yeah. Oh my God, the sex scene with him and the resident hooker at the hotel is something to behold. But yeah, terrific film. Ben was spot on the money, and so far it's my favorite. Well, it's my favorite new discovery of the set because I'd seen everything else. But my favorite film of the set is this little gem, Under Suspicion. This is like a super underrated movie. It came out on DVD back in the day. It was a no-frills affair. I mean, it was like a Hoyt's Sony release.
Ugly
on
DVD cover.
Ugly DVD cover. It had a 2.0 track, which was just why, when the film was a recent theatrical, had a 5.1. Had no special features. I think I got the UK release because it had some interviews and stuff. Anyway, now it is in this set. This is a terrific interrogation-based kind of thriller. Directed by Stephen Hopkins that you guys spoke about recently, director of Predator 2.
Aussie.
Director of, you know, what's that?
Aussie,
expat, yeah. Also directed that Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. The less said about that, the better. But he has done some great movies, including, was it Dangerous Game, that these breakthrough, the Aussie one?
Could have been.
Yeah, that was really good, and that's crying out for a release.
He's the showrunner for 24.
Oh, there you go. That's probably why it came up. Was it on Terrific Tuesday TV
Maybe.
Tuesday?
I remember talking about him.
Anyway, he's the director behind it. All-star cast
on a Monday.
That's it. I love that you can get it in this segment, but not in that
segment. Do it in the actual one.
Cast-wise, Gene Hackman, Morgan Freeman, Monica Bellucci, and someone else. Oh, Thomas Jane's in this as well, the Punisher. So yeah, it's an interrogation-based thriller, really high-stakes sort of stuff. And the thing I really appreciate about this particular film is that it's one of Hackman's last great roles. This was around the same time as Tannenbaums and Heist, which I think my top 3 last performances, because after this it there wasn't much between this and Welcome to Mooseport. And like that was fine. Like it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And it was probably the very last film I had to watch of Gene Hackman's career. And it was the last film of his career.
Hey, that movie has staying power. Go back to it. It's quite fun.
Oh, no. I only watched it a couple of years ago because I avoided it because Ray Romano was in it. And then eventually I caved. And then I kind of went, you know what? Ray Romano's all right.
Yeah, I reckon.
If you don't watch his show, if you just watch him in other things. Maybe not in that movie Grilled with Samuel Jackson. Was that him?
Kevin James.
Remember.
Kevin James.
Kevin James. Oh, Kevin James. I don't. Oh, yeah. Okay, maybe it was.
Door-to-door meat.
That's right.
I always just love the idea of it. Door-to-door meat salesman.
Confusing time for cinema because you had so many, A movies that went straight to disc locally, like that and Envy with Ben Stiller and Jack Black. And I've seen that movie like twice, right? Like I saw it when it came out, it was terrible. I revisited it more than a decade later, just thinking, well, maybe I missed something. It was still very bad.
Awful cover too.
Well, it's funny that hideous. It's funny that you mentioned that because the reason I never saw Under Suspicion was because I feel like around the same time there was that other one that he did with Clint Eastwood where he's the president and Clint Eastwood.
Oh, I love that movie. That was cool. Absolute Power.
Absolute Power, and then
I actually really like that.
I didn't really. Yeah, I've got to watch it again because I did.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty dark. It's like old school Clint Eastwood sort of stuff. He's the burglar guy, and he sees it all from inside the wardrobe through the the two-way mirror, one-way, whatever.
But there's I can never remember if it's that one or Blood Work. There's one of them with Alison Eastwood is in it, but there's a weird kind of flirtation between Clint and Alison. They're not playing father and daughter in the film, but they're playing.
That was a really interesting era for Clint Eastwood as a director because he just had the high of like Unforgiven, but then a real slum of these like direct-to-video type of thrillers before he came back up again.
Yeah, it was. You're right.
Because there was that Death Row one as well. Was that Blood Work? Maybe was that Blood Work?
Blood Work is the one where he's the guy,
or Time Out, or something like that. It was all about like a death row
crime scene investigator.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
I only watched that one not all that long ago, but I can't remember it at all.
True crime. Where
he's the reporter.
Yep.
Oh, yes. True. And I watched that also not terribly long ago. Can't remember it. Maybe if more of them had Gene Hackman in, I would remember. Because I remember Unforgiven and Absolute Power really well.
I hope you have not put a jinx on Gene.
For the listeners, that's me panicking. But the funny thing was, when I got the box set initially, I just, for some reason, thought this Under Suspicion was that film with Robert De Niro where he's blacklisted, where
Guilt by Suspicion.
Guilt by Suspicion, that's what I thought it was. Yeah. And I thought, that doesn't really belong in there. And then when I opened the box set and saw this, I'm like, this is even better. It's like the golden ticket in a Wonka chocolate bar. Anyway, it's a really good set. I've been through 3 thus far. I've still got a couple. The only thing is I only just watched White Sands recently on DVD, so I'm going to have to give it another watch. But I've got to watch The Crossing Guard because the other night I said to Danny, you pick, any one of the ones that we haven't watched recently. And she came with Heaven's Prisoners and The Crossing Guard. And I said, what kind of mood are you in? You in for a bit of fun or do you want something a bit bleak and depressing? And normally she goes for bleak and depressing and she went for fun. And I went, all right.
Well, we
did Heaven's Prisoners.
If that was my wife, and I'm like, "Oh, what mood are you?" She goes, I don't give a fuck, whichever."
Yeah, she knows not to say that to me because then she knows I'll come out with something from the Vinegar Syndrome.
She knows that ultimately it's your choice. Ultimately, it's your choice. You've narrowed it down for her.
Exactly. Which one of these 6 films? These are the only 6 films that exist in this collection tonight. These are, and no, not that one, not that one. Oh yeah, any one of those 2, sure. Anyway, gentlemen, that's it for me for this week. So until next time,
stay physical.
Stay physical.
Oh, not bad.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I saw Ben's mouth kind of move.